G'day and welcome to A Down Under Yarn. I am your host Fiona, also known as Fifikins. Today is Monday the 10th of March 2014. It's just gone 4 o'clock and I was going to race off and pick up the kids and I realised I had an extra half hour to kill. So Rosimi's at netball training and Jasper's studying in the library. So I thought I might as well get this done because I think I've got some time. Anyway, I'm Fiona, also known as Fifikins. I don't know if I mentioned that. I'm also the dyer behind Solar Flare Fibres. So there's two Ravelry groups you can join, Down Under Yarn and the Solar Flare Fibres group as well. Week that was, I've just been having a rough time. I get in these patches and I know I've just got to work through it, but yeah. So the anxiety's been there, the total stress levels have been right up there. And, I know that once I've got things done, they'll be a lot better. If the weather improves, I think that'll be a hell of a lot better for me as well. Today we've had a couple of hours of sunshine in the morning, but the weather was for scattered showers throughout the day. We've had two cyclones, one either side of us, neither really threatening us, but threatening to bring lots of rain. And I just don't want any more rain. I've had enough of the rain. Really, I have. So I was hoping to get some dyes out today, but it was just too cloudy and I didn't want to risk it. So I'm sorry to those people who've got orders in at the moment, and again, club members as well. I'll be writing to you and letting you know situations and what's happening. Anyway, it was Emmy's birthday last Tuesday. I think that's since I recorded. We surprised her with a GoPro camera, which she just absolutely lost it over. I haven't sent her the video yet. She's going to edit something up. I started recording it when I was giving it to her and she was a bit So that was nice being able to surprise her, and thanks to the wonderful Mimel who was able to help out with that. Apart from that, the week was just nothing too memorable, I don't think. There probably was, but I haven't got any notes in front of me. So now, Administratia. Number one, we've got our Knit a Hug, Knit Along going on at the moment. The aim behind this is to knit something that can represent a hug to give to someone for whom Mother's Day is a challenging time. So that can be someone who's separated from their children, who doesn't get to see them. So perhaps someone whose own mother's died recently. Someone for whom this Mother's Day is going to be a challenge. So originally it started off being a shawl. Some people want to knit cows, some people want to knit mittens, some people want to knit hats. That's fine. Anything that you can consider to be a hug for someone. And it could even be a hug for you if you'd like it to be a hug for you. I'm hoping to cast on a shawl in the next couple of weeks for a dear friend. So that is that one. The other thing that is going on with that is the Cairns Butterflies. That is a group that is knitting not only Premi hats for the hospital, but hats for women whose babies are stillborn or a late-term miscarriage, so before 20 weeks. And sometimes they're looking for hats that really are a 7 centimetre diameter. So we are talking tiny, tiny, tiny hats. I'm planning on knitting some for them, and I've told them if they've got anyone in the area who wants to knit them, I'm more than willing to give them some yarn to do so, especially some of the little hats that don't require a lot of yarn. I have information on that and I will put that in the show notes. I think it's been in the show notes for the last couple of weeks. So there is that. I have been inundated, and not by people who will be watching the podcast, I suppose by people who aren't really knitters themselves, about knitting penguin sweaters. Down in Phillip Island, which is a couple of hours from Melbourne, they have fairy penguins that live there. And they have a fairy penguin parade each night, and I've been to that quite a few times because as a child we used to have friends that went camping down there. I went youth group camp down there, all sorts of things, and you see the little fairy penguins and they come up at dusk and they waddle up the beach into their burrows. Well, a few years ago there was an oil spill and they put the call out for penguin sweaters, and they had an easy knit pattern for people to knit sweaters for penguin, because once they've got oil on their feathers, you don't want them preening themselves because they'll just ingest the oil. So the idea of the sweater was to keep them warm because the oil removes the natural oils that help protect them and stop them from preening themselves too much. So that call went out and it was answered because, knitters are wonderful, and they had plenty of sweaters. So then someone said they've got enough sweaters, you don't need to knit anymore. Now, last week, someone from the Penguin Foundation or someone to do with Phillip Island penguins was on ABC radio and said, we need people to knit penguin sweaters. And, and that's gone viral, basically. The first time I saw it was someone had posted it on my wall on Facebook. I've started hiding them because it's a bit boring when you go through my wall on Facebook and there's just, hey, Fiona, have you considered knitting penguin sweaters? Oh, wow, have you seen penguin sweaters? And yeah, and I know people's hearts are in the right place. So someone twigged and said, hey, hold on. Didn't they say they didn't need them anymore? So various people have done various bits of research and I found information. They don't actually need them for penguins. What they do with the penguin sweaters now is they put them on soft plush penguins, stuffy penguins, commercially made, of course, penguins in the shop and sell them to tourists. So by all means, if you would like to knit penguin sweaters, know that they will be used for fundraising purposes. They won't actually be used for the penguins. I really get the idea of wildlife conservation, and it's something that's very dear to my heart. I think I'd rather give them $10, which is what they're going to make on a penguin sweater, rather than sitting and knitting a penguin sweater, which requires seaming. Because I'm not a seamer. I've never seamed in my life, really. So, and I'm not about to start in a penguin sweater. Anyway, that's what I'd rather do, and knit hats for Cairns butterflies or for any of the hat drives that people have in their local area. I know that those people are going to the zombie apocalypse. There is a hat drive there for the Mayo Clinic, which is next door. So that sort of thing. So that's. I'm not going to tell people what to do and what not to do. I just want to present the facts, and the facts are that you won't be knitting sweaters for penguins, really. You'll probably be knitting sweaters for sale for tourists. And hey, that is fine. And they do need to raise money. They need to conserve the fairy penguins. I totally understand that. But I also understand that there are mums and dads who have babies that come far too early and don't survive, and they want nice things to be able to dress them in, especially for photos. I know there's some amazing groups around. A friend I went to school with is a photographer, and they specialise in taking photos for stillborn babies, because she said that when her baby died, it was very precious to get these photos. And what the mums are saying is they want something that's going to be soft and gentle wrapped around the baby. So they're calling for some sewers to knit some special hug rugs for the babies, and also hats. So that's where I'm aiming with my charity knitting. So that's my bit of a tangent about the penguins. So the Knitter Hug Knit Along will go through March and April, the idea being that it's finished to give to someone leading up to Mother's Day. You may not want to give it to them on Mother's Day. It depends who it is and depends what the situation is. A lot of people want to just ignore Mother's Day, but it's nice to know that they're thought of. Okay. Now, we have a prize, and the most amazing... Where did I put the card? It's Meg, who is Atelier Meg, has sent along 2 brown paper packages tied up with string. And I have had a peek inside, but I've closed them up again. Now, she said one is for me and one is for the prize. And I looked at both of them, and I just adore them both. So I'm trying to be very gentle again opening this. So it's Atelier Yarns. And this is Atelier Colorist, which is merino nylon sock. It's fingering 4-ply, 80% superwash merino, 20% nylon, 400 yards, 100 grams, gentle hand wash, The colour is acid wash denim. So it's atelier.etsy.com, and she's also on Facebook. So that is the acid wash denim yarn, and I adore that. I really do. And then the other one, and great presentation as well, is this one, which is just a stunning blue colour. This is Atelier Sydney. It is the merino fingering 4-ply sock wool, 100% superwash merino. 400 yards, 100 grams. The colour is Heaven. And oh, This is beautiful. It really is lovely. So and Meg said she wants me to keep one and give one away. Well, I think they are both absolutely stunning. So when I draw the prize for the Knit a Hug, I'll let you choose which one you want, because I would be absolutely thrilled with either of them. So they really are gorgeous and beautifully presented as well. So that is those, and check out Atelier Yarns. Oops, there we are, Atelier Yarns on Etsy. And I will link that in the show notes, which are available at visitings.com, because I haven't changed it over yet. And I've got no idea what is happening with Etsy at the moment. I'm just, not Etsy, with Blip and podcasts and my podcast and everything, so that's okay. Let's move on to the knitting and spinning. So I do have some spinning. I've got a Ninja down here too, so I'll see how long I last with Ninja. Hello, beautiful girl. I have a finished object, and it's something we haven't seen before. I knit the Half Rex Cuff, which is a pattern by Jenna Meyer, who is behind 716 Knits. Half Rec, which is HALFREK''S. It's a simple and elegant Art Deco inspired bracelet with a delicate beaded detail, and really, really, really lovely. I'm trying to get it in here so you can see it. You can see it's got these little crossover panels in there. I haven't blocked it or anything, I've just finished it this afternoon, so yeah, it'll block out very nicely. I chose to do mine in purple and green because it was leading up to International Women's Day and I had some purple yarn. This is Dream and Colour Smooshy with Cashmere in the Galaxy colourway, which I had some scraps, few scraps of these. Really, really lovely. I mean, with the beading, and you're placing 110 beads in this small, actually I did more than that because I extended it. I did an extra repeat because I've got really chunky wrists. So lots and lots and lots of beads, which is, it can be a pain at times, but I got through it. So I encourage you to check it out. If you've got a little gift for someone, I've already posted this photo up on Facebook, and people are asking you how much for them, and I don't know. I think there's a friend that did ask. I'll just know what I'll do for her birthday. She doesn't watch the podcast, she won't know. Anyway, so it's got a fantastic, some crisscross stitches in there, and yeah, really, really lovely. So the Half Rex Cuff pattern uses a fingering weight yarn, called for 3.25 needles. I can only find my 3s, and realised then where my 3.25s were. They're my signature ones, which would have been much better than my blunt China eBay ones. So I found the clasp at Spotlight, and there we go. There it is. So I will block that at some stage, but it's really quite nice, and it would make a fantastic last minute gift. All in all, it would have only taken me a few hours, although I've done that over 3 days. I think the beading at times, and the Dreaming Colour Smooshy with Cashmere is stunning yarn, but it can get quite splitty, especially when you're placing beads with a tiny crochet hook. So that is that finished. I'm glad I was able to do that. I saw Lisa on the Knit Two Together podcast last week had test knit for Jenna. So I saw it there and I thought, I might give that one a try, because I do have plenty of beads still from South Africa. So that's that one. I haven't got any other finished objects I can show. Actually, I haven't got any other finished objects. I'm still working on my test knits. But I have some works in progress. I have finished spinning, but I'll do spinning all at one section, I think. Okay. My work in progress that I'm going to show is the Mystery Knit Along in the for the Geometrix Knits, which is Josh, who is sort of a knitter. This is his Mystery Knit Along called Greek Fire. Now there is my clue 1. I haven't gone on and done clue 2. I thought I'd do that this evening. The pattern calls for fingering weight yarn. I'm using my Wala base, which is worsted weight, light worsted. So it's going to end up a lot bigger than a fingering weight shawl would. And I think each colour in fingering called for 200 yards or 300 yards or something. 400 yards maybe? No, it wasn't that much. Whatever it was. And so I have 440 yards of the worsted in each colour. So I'll see how I go, and if I need to make some alterations down the bottom I will. So the 3 colours I'm using are the Eyes Have It, which is the blue, wattle, which is the yellow, and the burning orange, which is the orangey colour. And really liking it so far. I love the flame detail we've got up here going with slip stitches. Josh has a great way of using slip stitches, and this is no exception. So I've seen Clue 2 has come out, and I hope to get onto that this evening. So I'll be able to show that to you next time I record. I have also been working on my sock yarn blanket. I still have to I didn't actually do, I think I did one on Saturday, so I haven't done yesterday's. I was ahead to begin with, so look, if I can get 7 in this week, I'll be fine. I found some more scraps of yarn lying around as well, and I'm like, so yeah, so I'm not going to show that this week. I'm also not going to show my low tide cardigan, which I've been doing a bit of work on. I've done about an inch on it this week. I'm hoping this week I'll be able to get down and get that out, because I really want to get that off the needles. Then I can get another garment on the needles, which I'm kind of itching to do. In my depressed state over the weekend, I did a bit of shopping, which I shouldn't have done, and went to Woolmeis in Germany and their website, and just thought, so I had this top that I was wearing last week sometime. I don't think I wore it in the podcast. Perhaps I should have worn it for today. And it's a beautiful darkish pink sort of colour. And 3 different places I went in, they said, that's such a stunning colour, it looks so good on you. And I thought, perhaps I need to get something. And they just happened to have DK weight and the pure in enough skeins for me to get to make a couple of sweaters in different colours. So one's in So Long Kitty, which is a dark pink, and the other one is in, begins with M, and it's a flower, and it's not a marigold. My mother's got a plant outside the den window at home, and they're really, really beautiful. And have I still got the tab open, or have I closed it? I think, no, just a minute. Don't you hate that? Don't you just hate it when that happens? It'd probably be easier if I went here then. Sorry, I'm just... Here we are. Order from. Here we are. Order confirmation. It was for So Long Kitty, Magnolia. That's it. Magnolia Light. So I'm looking forward to getting that one as well when that one gets here. And that one, I think the Magnolia was in the DK, and the So Long Kitty was in the fingering. So I've sort of been looking for different jumpers that I might do. And trying to work out what I'm going to do when I'm going to do it. I've got so much I want to get done, and yet I still feel I feel quite, not restricted, I suppose, but I've got a lot of projects on the go at the moment as well, and I'm about to start another test knit for someone this week. Anyway, I think there's the knitting that I'm going to show you. The spinning. I finished my unicorn farts. So this, I think I showed you the bobbins last week. I applied them together. So I've got cotton here. Imogen discovered I had a sewing machine, which she'd never really realised was I'd never really used it, and it was 20 years old. And she's doing visual arts for senior years, and she decided she was going to add texture to her artwork by stitching straight onto the art paper. And she did that at school, and somehow the motor blew on the sewing machine. And it's been 20 odd years since I've had sewing lessons. And I tried to remember how it was, and I went online and had a look, and I jigged it up a little bit. And then, a day later she says, "Mum, it doesn't sound right." And I said, "It doesn't smell right either." So Mimmel, fortunately, who's really a genius at electronic stuff, pulled it apart and said, and he had to rejig a tool because he didn't have the right tool to get the screws out of the motor. And he says, "Look, I think there's something down the bottom here that's come apart. It's not fixable. Just need a new motor." And you can get a new motor for $90. he said, it's such a beautiful machine, it's been well built. And I thought, okay. So we're just going to get a new motor, and she ended up doing some hand sewing, which I think is probably going to be a lot better in the long run than doing machine sewing on the paper. Great idea, interesting idea, but the execution, anyway, it's all part of the learning process. I'm not sure where this was, I had Cotton flying around here, but she's been doing stuff everywhere. The unicorn farts, I plied them together last week. If you remember, this is a merino silk and milk blend that I picked up at Bendigo last year at the muster by You Give Me the Knits. And here we go. Oh, there's that. This is before it's soaked, so it's really nicely balanced at the moment. This is a 2-ply. I split the braid in half, spun short bursts of the first half, and then split the other braid lengthwise, so short bursts of the first bit, the other bit went that way, and I ended up with all the greens at the end, so I did a quick and dirty chain ply on these. Now, I should have this on here. Is it going to let me get here? I've got a feeling my internet's not really connected at the moment. I'm trying to remember how much yardage I got, that's all, of the 4 ounces. Okay. Sorry, this is the most boring podcast. This is part of my Spin the Bin, which is part of the Completely Twisted and Arbitrary Spinning Group. So I got 244 yards of the 2-ply plus 24 yards of the chain ply, which I'm really, really quite pleased with what I got. Not sure what I want to use this for because it is really, really soft and smushy and beautiful. I was thinking perhaps some sort of softy, plushy. I think that would be quite nice. So yes, I will soak this hopefully this week and get that and work out what I'm going to do with it. So it's probably a sport to DK weight overall for this bit, with a DK to worsted weight for my chain ply. So yeah, so again, merino silk and milk, beautiful, beautifully and soft. I didn't find it slipped a lot. I've never really spun with silk before, so it was my first time spinning with silk. No, it's not my second. I spun with bamboo. First time spinning with silk, and I didn't find it slipped a lot, but at the same time I found it stuck to my hands. So that's the green bit there. So I've got 20 odd yards of that in a worsted weight. Not sure what I'm going to do with it either. Perhaps part of an owl puff, because I've got other yarns as well. I've got lots and lots of plans for things, and whether or not I'm going to get to them is another question. So last year for my birthday, a group of lovely dear friends got together and gave me an Etsy gift voucher, and I used it to purchase some fibre from Spun Right Round. There we are, Spun Right Round. It is mixed BFL and the colourway is Poison. Here's my second half of my braid. This is what's got the cotton around it. Thanks, Em. So this is the second half of the braid. So as you can see, it is fantastically mottled with the yellow and the purples and the grey right through here. So that's the end of my first half, so I'm probably about a quarter of the way through. I haven't done it for a couple of days. And here it is on the bobbin. Can we see? Sort of. So you can see I've gone from the grey to the yellow. I went from the grey to the pink actually, and now came back towards the yellow. And I'm still in the yellowy bit. Because I have some soft toys I want to knit people, and I've seen people knitting up with their hand spun into soft toys, and I thought that's a really, really, really good idea. I thought I'll try and get this quite thick, but it doesn't want to spin thick. It wants to spin really, really thin, and I'm just all for letting the fibre do what the fibre wants to do. And I will do a 2-ply out of it and see where it goes to, see what happens then. I don't have enough bobbins to do a 4-ply or a 3-ply even. So that is that. That's all the spinning I've got. I've been enjoying just being able to zone out with the spinning. I find it very meditative. So yeah, So that has been good. Now on to acquisitions. I had the Atelier yarn, which is for the prize. The other thing that arrived this week, finally, was my December shipment from Spartacus Dyes for the sort of a Spartacus club she had. Mine went missing in the post. Look, things happen like that. And if it does turn up, it's going to be a prize for people. So here's hoping that it does turn up. It is the new Palladino sock, which is 100% superwash merino, and the colourway is Yuletide. 100 grams each, 400 yards each. There's two skeins here. One is a purple, which is actually probably a more royal purple than that, and then a silvery colour there. The pattern that goes with this is the Fianchards by Josh, who is sort of a knitter, S-W-O-R-D, of Geometrix Designs, and I'm probably going to do that with this. It's a single ply yarn, so yeah, and I think would work really, really well with that pattern. So that is that. It's nice and squishy as well. So I think that's all the acquisitions this week. As I said, I'm expecting some yarn from Woolmeyes. I'm also expecting some yarn from Canada that I may have placed a pre-order for some stripy yarn as well. I need to get some more stripy socks on the needles. I need to get something on the needles that I can take with me. I've been taking my low tide, even though I'm still alternating balls, because I can do that within the bag, but it's getting a bit bulky to carry around. I really need a small project, so I don't know if it's going to be a sock head hat or another pair of socks or what. Pardon me. A pair of plain vanilla socks. I might do something like that. I suppose other news. I do have some other news that happened this week. I got my bike fixed after a while. It's been, firstly, Mimmel borrowed it for, while his bike was being fixed, and he had some trouble with it stalling and not restarting. And we thought, so once he got his bike back, he was just having a general service. Once he got his bike back, we decided that we'd send mine down there to the mechanic, and the mechanic found quite a few little things that added up to big things, if you know what I mean. But it's been great to have it back, and I realised how much I missed it and how much I can zone out as well. So today, for instance, I went into town and had lunch with Mimmel at the hospital, and I was able to ride the bike in. Means you can get a park, you know, little things like that. I was able to go out yesterday. I had to go out to rehearsals for our performance we've got at the end of the month, and again, took the bike. I was able to find a park. So I'm enjoying being able to get back on the bike. Now into shop news. This is going to be very brief. The weather has been my enemy. And I spoke to my business mentor last week and said, I'm just at my wit's end here. It's just creating so much anxiety in me. And she said, well, you can only do what you can do. And I said, I know, but, I'm wanting to grow my business. And she said, well, perhaps you've got to accept that over January, February, March, there are going to be 3 months where, unless you plan ahead, you're not going to be able to grow. And I thought about it and I thought, yeah. So it means that I'll be able to change my plans, and next year, or this year at least, I should be able to dye more stuff up in the middle of the year that I can then stagger out for updates if the weather is inclement like it has been. Because, yeah, it's quite when it is like this. I think that's about it. I've got a nagging suspicion I was meant to mention something else and I can't remember what it was. Because I know I was meant to mention the Atelier yarn last week and I totally forgot until I was uploading. And I thought I'd make a note. Now, I think I did make a note, but I don't know where I made the note. And it's just that I remembered because I put it in my podcasting area. Anyway, probably leave it at that. Oh, yeah, I know. The other thing is the Zombie Apocalypse. They've changed my flights for me. Only my flight within the States going there. Originally, I was landing in LA at 6 o'clock in the morning and then catching a flight to Minneapolis. It was meant to be leaving, originally when I booked, I think it was leaving at 3 o'clock in the afternoon going via Chicago. Then I thought, and getting into 11 o'clock at night, and I thought, look, so be it. Then they changed it to another flight, again going via Chicago. I think it was actually the same flight, but the times changed. Then I got a message saying, no, we've actually changed carriers and you're going direct, but you don't leave until 5 o'clock at night. And I thought, 11-hour layover, great. And then I got to 11.5 hour layover. And when I got to 11 hours and 45 minutes on the weekend when they sent it through, I just rang them and said, hey, is there any earlier flight? Is there anything I can do? You know, I was willing to pay a couple of $100 extra if I didn't have a 12-hour layover. And yes, I do know people in LA that I could have caught up with, but I thought next time I'd rather fly in and stay there rather than flying in and, you know, just jigging around for 12 hours. So they said, well, there's a flight at 8:30 in the morning. And I said, yeah. And I said, is there enough time? And she goes, well, as long as you have researched LAX airport and know how to get from the international terminal around to Terminal H. She said, it's like a U shape. Just look at it. You'll know where to go. I said, okay. She said, you should be fine. I said, okay. So that is the hope, that I can clear immigrations and customs and get through and then get out to catch this earlier flight, which would be fantastic if I could do that. Otherwise, I'm getting in at midnight. And yeah, anyway, so that was that big news this week. Anyway, I'm going to get going. I will talk to you next week, possibly next week, if the weather does improve and I get some dyeing done and can do a shop update. I'll do a little podcast as well later in the week. So until then, I'll say cheers, uru, bye.